Alright, so we've now added the level into basically the main campaign. Obviously, again, this is still work in progress, but it is, there at the state where it is now actually playable. Now, obviously, as you can see, there are some serious issues, such as like this little prompt coming up that shouldn't really be there. There's some rendering issues that are ongoing. And at the end of the day, the music files are something that's missing on PC, something that needs to still be remedied to make the mod fully complete at this point in time. So audio is still one of those areas that it uses a lot of the PC audio that was already kind of built into the game from the start. But as you can now see, the game actually does in fact load. You can see that we are now on Endor, and just so that people are not complaining, you can see we are in fact on PC, we're on key bindings. You can see that this is where all of our stuff is. This is not something that you would see on the console. And again, you can see all of our resolution settings, etc., etc. Now, let me just see if I don't know if I'll actually be able to modify the resolution to what I have. Let's see if it actually works. I don't know if it'll actually work or not, but potentially it might. But this is huge. I mean, this is something that has never been done by anybody else before, as far as I can tell. So we're kind of the first, to get this operational. And now it's actually filling up my whole screen, which is pretty amazing. So yeah, it works. As you can see, all of the geometry is in fact rendering. There are some issues, like I said, still with some of the different kind of artifacts that happen when you get through certain sections, so it's not 100% complete. And for anyone who's wondering, I'm not running the 60 FPS fix or the 60 FPS unlocker that typically would be present in of course the modern PC builds of this game. But again, you can see all the enemies are here. It's just like it would be on your 360 and PlayStation 3 version. Now, this particular build is entirely possible thanks only to the PlayStation 3 files finally being extracted, which, again, it's a pretty big deal, and honestly, it took me a very long time. The only reason why you guys are seeing this work right now is basically because I was able to use some agentic AI to help me get past the zlib compression issue that was pretty much holding me back with the PlayStation 3 files. I didn't really get that far with the 360 files, unfortunately, but, in time, probably that will still need to happen. So if anybody does, in fact, have the new Xbox 360 version of the files, that would be amazing if you can share it. I do own the DLC, and I can't provide proof that I own said DLC for my account. But again, the audio right now is missing, so there's currently no music, there's currently no kind of background audio that happens. You can hear voices and you can hear explosions, kind of just generic items from within the game, and that's just something that was already baked in from kind of the get-go. And you'll have to excuse me, I haven't played this game for basically a long time. But again, as you can see, all the stuff generally works. All the kind of main, very important bits and pieces that would typically be expected to be within the title are very much alive and well. And you can see that, again, all the main kind of pieces of the game that would otherwise be expected to work are in fact working. And I know I'm using quite a lot of force push over here, but at the same time, like I said, I haven't had time to for kind of a minute, so you'll have to excuse me on that portion. And to those people that said that I was dead, I'm very much not dead, just working on many different other projects, and this kind of took a backseat for a while, and I didn't really know how to proceed. And again, you have to remember that I'm not an engineer, right? Like, I'm not somebody that understands full-on debugging with Ghidra and IDA Pro, etc. So this was not really my forte. I tried, but again, there was just a lot of different pieces to this that needed to be stepped through in a very sensible fashion that I didn't necessarily understand. There's a lot of different fixes that ended up getting rolled into this. One of the major ones, of course, is, like I mentioned years ago, was that the Lua files were just completely missing on the PC version. And so this is something that's been now fixed by injecting the PS3 Lua files after we figured out the zlib compression portion of this stuff, which again is amazing, but it also means one really big caveat to this mod install, which is that it's not something that's been created entirely by me, right? So it's still using essentially proprietary Lucasfilm or LucasArts files, in essence, that they own the rights to. I don't know who now owns LucasArts, so I can't really give you guys information on that. I'm not, by any means a lawyer, so take that with a grain of salt. But with that said, you will need to use the tools in my mod installer for the PlayStation 3 extraction. You will need to have those files ready on your own disk, meaning that you own the DLC or you have a copy of it. Again, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't tell you where to get these files. I really can't tell you how to extract stuff. You will just have to kind of figure that portion out by yourself. Again, this is something that I've had because I own the files on the PlayStation 3. I also own the DLC on the 360 version of the game. So I already have them essentially in my ecosystem from the start, and this is, again, something that maybe not everyone's going to have. So, but this is a caveat for, me releasing the mod, is that you do need to have those files handy. I will not be helping you get said files, nor will I be, assisting anyone in piracy. So again, there's some little bits and pieces here that you unfortunately do need to figure out yourself. Like, I'm not someone that can assist you on the additional kind of like file grabs as a part of this, because I'm not someone that is willing to help promote piracy. So I do support LucasArts and Lucasfilm as much as I possibly can, and at the end of the day, I also don't want to be in legal trouble over this in any shape or form. And so, with that said, the mod is working, obviously. There are some glitches, because again, this was never really meant to be on the PC, so this is still very much work in progress, but this is further than anyone's gotten so far. So I would say that we are probably quite lucky in the sense that we finally have some, semblance of a fix here. You can see there's a lot of physics glitches that are going on with Havoc. This is something that will probably need to be fixed over time. Again, it's just not something that I've been able to really look into deeper at this point in time. Again, it's something that will need to be addressed because, of course, it does, make the gameplay just a little bit more difficult from a sort of like end user perspective, right? You can see that my character is sort of struggling with a lot of the steps here in terms of getting to different places, and the Havoc portion of this is just not something I have a whole lot of control over. We just kind of have to deal with some of the glitches for now as they stand. Technically, you probably shouldn't be able to move some of those different pieces of the environment, but we'll see kind of what happens with this. I don't really know why it glitches out as much as it does, but again, I'm not a developer. Maybe one of the developers of the game can chime in. This is all like very much just kind of beta right now. I basically just got this running this afternoon after 5 hours of just live coding through like all the different steps that are otherwise needed to get this operational. And at this point, I've gotten kind of as far as I can in terms of like the general structure of everything, and I don't have like a good idea of when the rest of this will be completely fixed. But again, you just kind of have to look at this from the perspective of like, we finally have the DLC more or less operational on PC. Again, there are obviously artifacts and there are things that need to be fixed, but it's a big step in the right direction, right? Like, this is something that just hasn't been seen before on the PC. I'm sort of the first person to get this like operational in the state that you can see it in right now. And again, there's obviously fixes that need to be done. It's a little bit glitchy, it's a little bit buggy. Music isn't quite there, and for the most part, it works, right? Like, all the main gameplay elements are in place. All of the really big portions that you would expect are exactly where they need to be. But of course, there are issues that still need to be addressed. Like, there are sections, like for example, this script in here right now is not fully loading, and that's something that still needs to be addressed. The lighting in some aspects needs to be addressed. So again, it's very much work in progress right now. We're not 100% there as of yet, but I will be releasing this particular build on ModDB. I will also add instructions on how to do all of the things that you need to do, including the APAC extractor that's needed to make this happen with the PlayStation 3 files. This is all something that you will need, again, to provide yourself. But we're getting through there. So, you know, at this point in time, I feel like we've gotten much closer than I've even gotten myself in the past, and I'm just super excited. This is like the first time that this mod has actually been built for and is working on PC. So I hope you guys are as excited as I am. You know, I hope to see you guys online. You know, add questions, add comments. This is like the most important part about all of this at the end of the day. So just leave me the information that you have on my YouTube channel. You know, feel free to reach out to me via email as well. And then let's just get this thing operational at the end of the day. I'll talk to you guys in my next video.